Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another round here in World Championship Racing League. We're here in Canada, and it's going to be an amazing one, that's all I can say for you. I'm Ben Raggan O'Connell, and joining me on the caster's desk is the one and only Jamie McCaster Elder. How are you doing?
I'm not too shabby, man. How are you?
I am not too shabby indeed. It's Canada. In the official F1, it was dramatic. In every racing league I've ever commentated in Canada, it has been dramatic. And it's mainly due to the amount of chicanes, DRS zones, and slipstream zones that we have on this track. Tons of opportunity for overtaking all over the place, but one thing, something else to bear in mind is the strategy. You can do a single stop, which can be mediums to hards. So I've got about 15 laps on the mediums. If you want to go soft, you're going to need to do a two-stop race. Hypers is currently topping the charts with 150 points to his name, 91 point lead against the third. Both of them are sharing today their birthdays. Happy birthday to both of them. Nick then sits in third place with Flying Finn in 4th, Lion G in 5th, Brownie in 6th, Brayden 7th, 8th, Fox and 9th, 11th in 10th, Sven Zerner, Bird, Blue, Sunny, Beaker, Blackbird, 2 lots of bricks apparently, return, and then I 7th. Or actually 2 ricks at one point. But yeah, they decided we were going to spice things up a little bit and change it for here. So we're now in Canada, and looking at the weather, it's dry. It doesn't look sunny, but it also doesn't look like it's going to pour it down anytime soon. But immediately on Caster, chucking you in the deep end. What's your top 3 prediction?
My top 3 predictions are I'm going to float. Eventually.
Float.
Well, you're chucking me in the deep end of the pool.
Oh, I see.
Hey.
Okay, well played. All right.
Thanks. Well, I mean, there's only one man we always look at. He's won every single race so far. I think you'll be a fool to look away from him. And, well, do we need to say any more? That is going to be the prediction for first place. It is obviously going to be Hypers. Race and qualifying, most likely. Obviously, bearing any issues. This is a street circuit at the end of the day. The walls are close. All it takes is one little nudge, and that is you going back to the pits for a new wing. But, I mean, we saw him at Baku, where he just couldn't get the qualifyings together because he kept just nudging the walls, losing front wing. Will he do that here today? Probably not. It's a little bit easier this track. But yeah, Hyper's on pole. Second place. To me, it's between Flying Finn, Zerd, Turn are probably the main contenders. Lemon as well, not too far out of it. I'm going to go Zerd, Flying Finn.
Okay. Well, I have some interesting news for you. And I don't know how much these drivers have spotted this. Some of them have already told me, Zerd being one of them. We are going to have a dry quali up until towards the end, where it will be wet.
Oh.
And then we will have a wet start to the race. So,
I like how you keep those things from me until I've done my predictions.
I've only just found out. Do you want to go again?
No, it's
fine. Go again?
I'll stick.
See,
I'll be a brave man.
Well, yeah, you'd have to be, wouldn't you? But Hypers is someone who you would normally put on the top spot. It depends whether or not he's seen that weather report or not, because he was very fast to get out of the pits. He's also done a lap time and done a 1:08.524. So, you know, it's a very fast lap time, especially if that's on mediums as well. But realistically, if he wants to hold on to the top spot, he's going to have to go in and swap to some softs. This man here, Zerd. I am going to do my top 3 prediction really quickly, and it's going to be very dependent on if they go onto the soft tyres or not.
They'll be daft not to.
Now.
If it's the race, exactly. You said the race is starting wet.
That's right.
Then why wouldn't they go on softs? They go change the tyres. There's no logic in that.
No, absolutely. But if they've not paid attention to the weather report, then
they don't deserve a seat.
No, I don't disagree. But yeah. So, providing they all go on softs, I am in agreement that you'd be a fool to look away from Hypers at the minute. Even if he has been having issues with qualifying, he's still, you know, the lap time he's already done, he's looking pretty hot. Then we're looking between sort of Zerd and Nickturn for me. And Nickturn has been fast, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I think Zerd is just that bit faster. And the fact that it's his birthday as well, he's going to be feeling really positive-minded. Hopefully.
Or he's full of cake.
Or he's full of cake, and it's just going to be, very, very bloated, very slow, very brain obviously not working correctly as well. But we'll see. So I'm going to go Hypers, Zerd, Nickturn. So Nickturn third, Zerd second, Hypers first.
The rain's already started, by the way.
It has.
So
And
Are
Zer's
we just
backed
throwing
out.
predictions out of the window already? I mean,
We might
these
have
times
to.
are going to start coming down already. Those who've not put in time, those still in the pits, Anyturn, Rayner, Zerd and Brownie. Two of your top 10, one of my top 10, are sat there and might not even get a time in. Which is not good news. And everyone, I mean, Lemon's currently sat at the top. I mean, it's not over yet. It can still change. I mean, let's have a look at Zerd quickly. He has just coming towards the end of the lap, so he might be okay. As this goes on, it's going to get wetter and wetter. It's going to be harder and harder. But I have seen someone do a pole lap in an Austria race last season, so on 2018, in the rain, and was pole. I mean, the opposition wasn't massively great, but still, he did it. And Zerd's done a 112. It can't be that bad already, can it?
I think it's more that he just made a mistake. He backed out really early on in that lap.
I wasn't watching.
Yeah, he backed out so early on. I think we got to about where he is now, for example, on the track.
Okay.
And he'd already backed out by that point. So it kind of isn't a surprise to me that he didn't have... that lap time is so slow. But this is the one that matters for him now. It is a really tough lap to try and pull off when the track is cooling down like this. Obviously, the water coming down means it is going to cool down rapidly. He's also going to be finding it difficult to keep the temperatures in his tyres just full stop as a result of that. And obviously, rain kicking up in your face, and it's just going to be so... It's just a nightmare. I would not like to be in his shoes right now.
No, I mean, you've partaken in a race where it rained to the point that it wasn't quite into weather, was it?
Yeah.
And that, you said, is probably one of the worst races you've ever had.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Because you don't know what to do you? You're thinking, do I change or do I stay? People are changing, people are staying, and it's just like, what do we do? And no one could really decide. Zer's now coming up to the line, though. It's looking alright, but not great. It is only alright. It's a time.
Yeah. It's concerning, especially given the fact that he needed to be... You know, you got Hypers up there on mediums who've done a 108.5, but he went out at the right time. He literally couldn't have timed it any better. We do need to do a hot lap with someone, so I think we should go with Beaker, because he's just died now.
I was just looking at Zerd, he's rated down by 4/10 in the first sector, but Beaker's starting off then. As we come up towards turn 1 and 2, these two connect together like pretty much all the corners on this track. Just flow together, chicanes everywhere. Exit turn 2, power down as early as you dare, especially when it's slightly damp. Chuck it in then to turn 3 and 4, downhill. Don't take out Lewis Hamilton as you go over the grass. Clink at turn 5, throw it over to the right hand side as you come up to 6 and 70. DRS detection point just before that corner. And then DRS straight is just here. Still in effect, it's not that wet just yet. And get it over to the left. Careful of the wall that sticks out because it can catch you out if you're not paying attention. Through 6 and 7. This is where we're going to see a few incidents, people just losing the back end. Copy has just lost the back end somewhere. As we come through the turn 10, the hairpin, DRS detection point for this back straight is way back, just after turn 9. So you can make a dive into turn 10 and get the overtake done. Going through turn 12 now, DRS is wide open. As we're coming up to the final corner, turn 13-14, the Wall of Champions, or as I call it, the Wall of Chumps. And Beaker bails out. And the Wall of Champions is actually where we see quite a lot of crashes. Not from vehicle to vehicle, but people just getting out wide, putting the power down, and just losing it into the wall on the left. It's not the right-hand side that kills people, it's the left. And
well, I think it was in, I think if I remember correctly, it was Q1 in the official F1 where we saw Magnussen do exactly that. It just got a bit too heavy, but it slammed his rear end into the wall, in the Wall of Champions, rotated across to the other side, and big collision into the pit lane wall, and that was it. You know, it was end of his qualifying stint anyway, but it made it even worse the fact that he hit it so hard.
Yep. Oh, Blues just clipped the wall a little bit, and he's bailed out of that lap. He hit the wall that I said, careful of that wall on the left, and he wasn't listening. Obviously, because he clipped it. Don't think he sustained damage, he just put him off his line a little bit coming to the corner. Editor's put in a time which does mean he's currently 11th. I think we're going to see the most unexciting 8 minutes of our life.
Well, I've got a feeling they're going to retire pretty swiftly. I think these guys are going to go out there around now, for example, like Bulks and Rayner, Blue, Brownie, for example. Oh, the Blue's just going into the pits. They're going to complete the laps, realize how much slower they are, go into the pits, retire, and then we'll move straight on into the race itself. But you know, as it stands, you got Lemon on pole position, albeit by just under a tenth. Hypers there in P2, but bear in mind though that it's a 10th gap between the two of them. But Hypers did his on mediums, whereas Lemon did it on softs, and that was literally the difference between getting pole or not. So Hypers didn't quite make the right decision there. I think he missed out on the fact that he was going to rain in the qualifying.
Right.
Brownie's done a lap times in a
He might
112.5,
retire
which
now.
Zerd did, if you remember, when he made a boo-boo on his cooldown lap.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people retiring. Lemon's coming out on wets because why not at this stage? He's actually struggling for grip. It's not quite wet weather tyre. DRS is still activated. It's not even into tyre weather yet.
He's wondering if you know how it be in Tokyo as he's trying to drift that car around this track
He's going so slow
in a
through the
very
corners.
interesting manner.
I kind of wish if people aren't playing on coming out, they're seeing the weather forecast, just retire. Let's get this over and done with.
From our perspective, it's nice to see them retire, but I'm curious to see what Lemon does now.
Is he going to just bin it off?
Oh, he's
There.
going to do that.
Close enough. I was going to say off the Wall of Champions, but that's close enough.
He nearly hit that wall on the inside just there, to be honest.
He's trying to make his own
Still
Wall of
looks good.
Champions. He's just giving us a show. I think that's all he's really doing, isn't it?
Yeah, he's having a laugh. If you watch his throttle application, it's 100% to 0% and then back to 100%. So he is definitely having, as they say down south, a giggle. But we'll see how he does.
Having
Oh,
a bath.
there it is. There's the wall.
There's no damage
Out
though.
there. Those tyres must be hot.
Let's see how far. They're over 100 at the back already.
Oh, he's just...
There's just no
there's
grip. He's just drifting across the track, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like he's aquaplaning, but he's not, because there's not enough water to aquaplane yet.
Oh. And
So
then now he's
Blue's
doing
come
Vettel.
out again on soft. So
Oh.
I'm just going to look at Blue quickly, see how he's getting on. 'Cause he's come out on softs. He's looking like he might try and go a bit faster. And he's already made a mistake on the final corner. So that's probably invalidated this lap and next.
Yeah. So, we are going to have a wet start to this race. But it's going to be a tough one for any driver at the beginning, because I don't imagine they would have gone for a wet setup. Buxton's retired from the session. I don't think anybody would have gone for a wet setup, despite the fact that we're going to start with a heavy rain race. I mean, I've not been told if it's going to dry out or not, but to see drivers doing 108s, and we've seen 4 drivers go for 108s.
But that was
Which
very
doesn't-
early doors.
Yeah, exactly. The track hasn't even yet evolved. Even now, it's still not evolved enough. And you know, they are. That's a very much a dry setup, in my opinion. Beaker's out on the intermediates. He's the only driver to be on the intermediates. But again, it's just ambitious to even think that you're going to get
There you go.
anything high. Dearest has been disabled, so that's it.
I'm surprised people are still coming out, in all honesty. It's an odd thing to want to do. Oh, Flying Finn's just lit up the rears. He's having a bit of fun down there.
He's literally flying.
And he is. He's now got to get out of the way of that wall. He has to reverse, actually.
So I have been told that it will dry out in the race, so that would
Okay.
explain why they've gone for dry setup. So I'm just trying to think about the sort of strategy. Obviously, you're going to go for whatever tyre you need to use in the wet conditions.
See, reversing. I thought he was reversing down the straight, but now he's just binned it into the wall.
I'm not sure if he even knows what he's doing himself, to be honest.
I think he's
struggling.
just realised he's got 4 minutes to do fuck all. But then
Yeah.
you look at Copy, Bogdan and Anytime, and they're like, come on guys, just retire. We want to go to the race here. You can't go faster, just quit. Let's go. They'll be sitting there yelling at him because what else are they going to do?
Put the feet up, have a nice cup of tea, get
Well,
some biscuits.
the thing is,
you know?
if they're going out now, they're risking collisions with other cars, which is going to give them a 5-place penalty. That's the last thing they want, especially if they're going to be starting wet. And so they need to keep that in mind. If they're going to be going out on the wrong tyre at the wrong time, spinning out the rears, yes, it's fun to watch, but all it takes is one connection with someone. They get a 5-place penalty because it's probably their fault because you spun in the middle of the track and they've hit you. And then you're going to be taken to the stewards and given a big slap on the wrist. It's a risky game to play. It's fun for our point of view. It's fun for the viewer's point of view, but it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah,
Zerd
you have to
realises
be
that.
daft to even think about doing anything like
You have
that.
to be
wouldn't you,
absolutely daft, yeah.
So Beaker on the intermediates, Rain is out there on an outlap as well on his intermediates, and Blackbird is also out there doing a hot lap. Like you said, I'm pretty sure they're just doing this for, I don't know, just having a laugh, really. Prepping them. I mean, they are going to have a wet start to the race. So it's not necessarily a bad idea to try these intermediates on the start.
Bigger just locked up into the final chicane. Maybe they're just getting a feel for it while they're on the inters, just to see how they're doing, making sure that car's set up right for the inter point, just tweaking what they can tweak, and going from there. But there's only so much they can do. It's now rather wet. It's not quite full wet yet, but hopefully we'll see a few more people just retire from the session because, well, to speed things up.
To save us.
To save us from our madness. We can talk about last week though, kinda. I can't remember last week. There wasn't a race last week, the week before.
There wasn't, yeah, the week before. The one thing I can remember is this man coming out of the pits now on intermediates, Brownie. He had a really rough race to say the least. If I remember correctly, it was 20 seconds of penalties was applied
That's the
to
wrong
that
league.
driver. You sure?
Yes,
Well,
100%.
He said himself it was this one.
20 seconds. That was that was Tuesday.
I thought it was before I went on holiday.
No, he wasn't racing last week according to my results screen.
No one was racing last week.
No, not week before. Okay. Fine, Mr. Pedantic.
The one person I do want to pay attention to, and this is definitely this league, is Flying Finn, who, if you remember at the very beginning, he had a lot of penalties. He really struggled at the beginning of the season, and he's brought it together a little bit further on in the races he has been in. It's going to be an interesting one now, because I think this is the first properly wet race we've had, especially off the start. And I've never actually seen Flying Finn drive in the wet, so I really don't know if he's going to be able to contest with hypers in the race.
Well, I don't think it's been a while since I've seen a wet start to a race. I honestly, the last time I can remember was I can't remember. I think it was SRL at Hungary with Crow.
I really don't remember. That was a good one.
That was
no, we've seen one since then, surely.
I can't remember a wet start though. I can remember wet races. They've progressed to wet. But that's the last one I remember starting wet.
But that's all the way back in.
I know, that's
F1
ages ago.
2018. That is an eternity ago. I mean,
I know.
That's
why I'm confused.
I don't know. I'd like it when it starts wet and then transitions into dry, because or vice versa. I mean, either way, really, because it just adds a whole massive question mark to the entire race. You have no idea, and neither do the drivers, exactly what's going to happen, and that's the problem. You've got to time it right, and it's such a difficult, especially in this game. It seems like it's even harder in this game than it was the last game, to work out when is the right time to go into the intermediate tires. You know, you only really want to go in the intermediate tires when the DRS is disabled. That seems to be the rule of thumb, is that you want to be in the pit lane when DRS gets disabled. But you know, you can't like count the raindrops on the halo. You can't count the raindrops on the ground, or even the ones that are hitting your visor if you're driving a cockpit.
Yeah.
I'm the only one, but whatever.
You are.
And that in itself is it's just such a guessing game to work out.
The thing is, then the next guessing game is where you're talking about the transitional. That's really good if it transitions to full wets. If it just goes to winters, that's a bit of meh, because you know when that's supposed to happen, when that screen comes up. But when do you change from wets to inters or inters to wets? There's no sign from the game, effectively. Yes, you can probably tell a bit. If you've driven enough, you can start to see how much standing water there is. You start to go, right, it's getting towards that point. Or you look at your lap times, you know where you should be. As soon as it starts going beyond a certain point, right, it's wet time. For our point of view, we're sitting going, is that wet yet? Is it full wets? Is it inters yet? And there's always that guessing work. And I do like to see that guessing work, because that brings that extra bit of tactical into play. And hopefully we're going to see some of that today. Just waiting for Brownlee to get himself into the garage and retire. And then we'll be going.
Yep.
Oh, when I'm running. There we go. Well, there's the most unexciting grid we've ever seen, I think.
Although the only thing that's sort of thrown off a little bit is the fact that Lemon is ahead of Hypers. I mean, we'll give the rundown now for you, in fact. So Lemon is sat on pole position, albeit by just under 900ths of a second. Hypers taking second with Copy in third. And the gap there was pretty close. Bulgzan's 4/10ths behind Lemon there in fourth. Blackbird, and then Beaker, Flying Fins, Rainer, Blue rounds out the top 10 with Nickton and then Brownie. A lot of those drivers did end up not getting the fastest time in because they didn't spot the fact that the rain was coming in qualifying. Brownie being the main one that got caught out by that, and we know it's going to be a wet start. You're about to see in a second when all the rain is just pouring down on the screen. But honestly, this is, I mean, that's
a
a
full
very
wet.
That's
That is
a
full
full
wet.
wet. That is absolute
Excellent.
full wet, and that in itself is enough for you to look at it and just be like, I don't know how good Hypers is in the wet conditions.
I don't think I've seen it recently. That's for sure.
I don't think I've seen him ever being in the.
But there's one man I think you need to look towards here. The man that you keep talking about, he's best when he's outside his comfort zone. Could he be a surprise package here today with the changeable conditions?
I don't know. I want to believe.
You don't know
I
anything.
do want to believe.
You might as well just pick names out of a hat and that's your predictions. I think that's as close as you're going to get today.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
For once. But it is literally that. It's purely just a guess. I don't know what Hyper's pace is like in the wet conditions, but I do believe in him and his abilities. So I am gonna stick with a Hyper's P1. The only way I can think it would be affected is if Lemon does any sort of like brash moves on lap 1, 2, because after that Hyper's usually gonna be gone in the distance anyway. P2 though. Ah man, I really don't know. I want to go Flying Finn, but I feel like he's going to get a lot of penalties. This is a track where penalties are massive here, so definitely something where he could fall in the wayside. I am going to go with Zerd P2 on the basis that whenever he is further down in the grid, he seems to drive insane. So I am going to put Zerd P2. P3 though. Copy has been the one for me who's just recently stood out. Like the last race I commentated with him in, he won, and it was incredible. It was one of the best drives I've seen him do ever. And considering how much criticism we've given Copy over the past, we've always said about how his ERS usage is just not good enough. He never seems to manage that perfectly, and to an extent the same for his fuel. I am going to give him the credit that I've always doubted him on. I'm going to say he's going to get P3 today.
Fair enough. I was actually just looking through my drawers for a 12D dice. I have one somewhere, and that was what I was going to use for my predictions, but I can't find it now. And I can't remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. I have my 12D dice. I've got a bag of dice here. I'm actually going to roll this to decide it. Where's the 12? Is that the 12? That looks like a 12. Right, okay. So, first place is going to be number 12, Brownie. Followed by number 6, Beaker. And third place is number 4, Bogzan. There you go.
I'm going to go on a whim here and say there is no way that that's going to be effective. If it does, all right, we'll place a little wager on this. If it does, I will buy you a crate of beer of some kind.
I'm not buying you one if it comes wrong, because there's so many chances of that being wrong. Mercedes are very quick to the line. Where is Copy? He's coming along very slowly. Interesting.
Yeah. Managing his tyre temperatures. I won't worry about it.
Brownie, Beaker, Bolzan. That is a bold prediction if I've ever seen one, Mr. Dice. Thank you very much. Oh, I hate the dice. Hypers has currently got a red cross. That's not a good sign to his name.
No.
Hopefully.
I won't worry about it. It could just mean he's just had that. But here we go. The cars are in their grid boxes and the lights are on for this very wet Canadian Grand Prix. And I think the only person I really want to pay attention to right now is Copy to see how well he does on the start of this grid as we now wait. And Hypers, like you say, is, I think,
bit of barging.
Lots of contact.
That's Bolzan going off and round, trying to come back on, but he's trying to come back on in the strangest place ever, halfway through a corner. And that's rain. That's nice. Bolzan spinning in the background, and Hypers is spun. What's happened to Hypers?
I don't think he has. It shows P12, but
I think he's desynced.
Yeah, I think he is as well.
He's currently P5 and dropping big time. He's now 6, barging. That looks like a desync to me.
Yeah, I think he is definitely decent. For me, he's P11 right now, which I'm almost certain he's not. So
on screen, I think he's. Oh, Zerd. That is a lovely dive from Zerd. Hyper's definitely desync, and it's kind of ruining what I'm watching because it's all over the place. But Zerd did a wonderful dive and gained a couple of places from it. But yeah, so
Go
Hyper's...
again? I think he's going again. Yeah, he is. Look, he's going in the inside of Reina. Reina's having a mistake as well. Nicktone's trying to slip in there with him, but no, that's not going to happen. So Zerd now up into P6. And whilst we're looking at that, let's look at the position changes. The biggest winner so far, it looks like it's going to be Flying Finn. I'm guessing it's 4 places again, but he's showing us 5 for me.
Yellow in sector 1 apparently, as they try and go 2 wide, almost 3 wide through the final corner. Reina trying to make moves on it, and Nicktone's just pulled over to the side. I thought he'd gone off there. But he's still going. He's going to lose a place, potentially 2. And it is getting a bit punchy out there. It's like these guys are driving on dry tyres. Bit more contact there for Zerd on the back of Ennington. No damage sustained. Yellow in sector 1 again. I'm not sure what's happening.
I'm just going to have a quick look to see where Hype is apparently. Yeah, he's in sector 1. Oh! So I keep getting yellow flags for sector 1 for Hypers, who's apparently lost it again through turn 3, which is definitely not him.
No, he's off the back of Blue and Brownie, according to my screen.
I think the yellow flag, because there's a decent driver for someone in the lobby, it does. I think that's where the yellow flag's coming from.
But now it says Hypers is over a lap down.
Yeah, I got that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Beaker's making a dive down the inside of Copy. He had to lock up pretty hard there. Copy gave him plenty of space. There was no contact between the two of them, but I honestly thought that Beaker was just going to be a dead weight just traveling into the side of Copy, but he kept it fine. Still, it seems to have his wing fully intact. I assume he's P5, 6 for you?
Who? Hypers left the
Beaker.
session. Beaker currently P5. I think that might be Hypers trying to reset himself. He might have found that he's desynced for everyone. He's apparently a lap down. He might not be coming back after that, but hopefully that means he's fixed, because he's not actually there. Is now properly an AI taking control. And
It'd be sad if it was. I mean, he's still a lap down according to my screen, and in P12, which is just sad. But Brownie is not looking good for your predictions. I think you went Brownie for P1, right? According to the dice.
Yeah.
Are we going to go with the profit dice?
I don't think they're profit dice. They might get a prediction in that correct order if Brownie gets past. Oh no, because Beacon needs to drop. It wasn't Blue, was it?
Well, the one thing that we can't shy away from is that we know the rain is going to end at some point.
Hopefully.
And we have commentated on a race in the past, if you remember, you know exactly which race I'm talking about, where we saw a driver who pit at the perfect opportunity, and he jumped, I think it was like 11, 12 places on the grid, and just blew our minds completely. So it's not outside of the realms of possibility, but it literally requires you to be so perfect the time to get exactly that. I mean, he's already lining up Blue for an overtake, made a bit of a wobble coming out of the hairpin there, not quite the way that he wanted to be attacking it, but still, we are waiting for the rain to die off. When the rain does die off, we're going to see who can really capitalize on that timing.
Yeah, the lap time's starting to come down a little bit, which is always a good sign. Oh, I just looked away from that. That looked like Boltzan. Oh, Boltzan nearly making moves on Brownie there. I was going to say the lap times are starting to come down a little bit. That's always a good indication it's getting a little bit drier out there, but it could just be the dry line forming. And it's going to be really difficult for anyone to go round the corner, off the racing line. So there's just going to be no grip for them out there whatsoever. They will be able to cool down their tyres, yes, but you don't want to cool them down too much that when you get to the next braking corner, you're gone, oh, I have no grip. Bye! As Boltzan's trying to show us right now. Thank you very much for that demonstration.
Beaker's also all over the back of Copy. Only 3 tenths is the gap currently. Not that it matters too much in terms of DRS zone, because there is no DRS, it's too wet for that. And that's the thing to bear in mind when it comes to this back straight, because it's a massive slipstream opportunity, but you need to have got past already in order to really... Is he trying to... I think Beaker's trying to lock his tyres intentionally to rotate the car.
Ooh, bit of contact back at the back. Boltzan and Brownie both getting past Blue through a little bit of argy-bargy. Blue coming back at Boltzan after Boltzan got back ahead, and they are nearly side by side going through the long casino straight, coming up to the final chicane. Who's going to be the last one? Who's going to be the first one? They're going to go side by side, are they? That's a dangerous ploy in the wet. Dangerous enough in the dry, but they're both through. Boltzan up into P10, Blue down to 11th.
I think Blue backed out of that. He was on the outside anyway, and you know, you could tell that Bulk's end was coming. He thought, I don't really want to run the risk of getting damage. It's not worth him, you know, locking up in conditions as bad as this. It's just so tough to do.
Ooh,
Flying Finn, though, all over
yeah.
the back of Lemon. I don't know what's happened to Lemon, but he is slow.
Well, I mean, it is raining. He does have a good excuse. As Boggs then picks up a 3-second penalty. So Flying Finn's lining him up a little bit and just going to wait. Play the waiting game. And as you're saying, this long back straight is great. And especially in conditions like this, getting the drive off is so important. Because it's so hard to get a good drive off this fast final corner that you need to get it bang on. As Copy's left the session, that's not a good sign. He's going to drop down places as Beaker goes immediately past him. Rayner past him as well. He's going to drop like a stone.
Yeah. It didn't help that there was a 5-car train involved in that as well. And, you know, he was leading it. It just didn't work out for him. His teammates got past him as well. So yeah, Copy, who I did have predicted for a P3 as Blackbird gets a 3-second time penalty, is now not going to happen. But here comes Flying Finn, looking for an opportunity here on Lemon. He's got the slipstream. He had the pace down the home straight. Now coming up to turn 1, little contact between the two of them. Lemon's rotated, but he caught it just enough. I think he just went a bit deep into the side of Flying Finn. There's not much more that Flying Finn could have done there. But he made this the move stick, and he's now taken race lead. I think he's about to just run away with this.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. He's not had the best season so far. He's missed a lot of races. 4th place in the opener in Australia. We tipped him to do alright. He started to come good. He did Bahrain and Spain since then. And he got 2nd in both of those races. So he's decent. If he turns up for the races, he could be pushing for 2nd place in the championship. Zerd has only got 2 podiums so far. There's no point talking about hypers. This is going to be the first time this season. This is round 7. This is going to be the first time this season we have a new person on the top of the podium, because Hypers has won all 6 so far. And he looks untouchable.
The fact that he's got, I can't remember the exact amount of
91
points.
lead.
Yeah, 91 point lead on P2, by the way. That's insane. Like, it really just shows. And you know, with it being his birthday today, it means we're only 2 years away from him being able to qualify for the F1 Esports. And I say qualify, it's more like a sign up, because he's almost
Flying Finn's
guaranteed.
in. Sorry,
to get
Flying Finn is in the pits. Is it into time? Beaker, 5-second penalty, spinning pin, and that's the standard Beaker. Nice to see nothing's changed. Is it enters? It is. Is that a risk or is that perfect timing? Based on the fact everyone else, there's a fair other drivers, I think it is time.
But now Flying Finn's got the difficulty of he's going to have to pass people again on the
No,
track.
not.
He's managed
Look
to
at
actually
that.
get ahead of Copy. And although having said that, yeah, if the top 3 now decide to pit and go into inters, then yeah, he's got nothing to worry about. He's home free. He's just going to run away with this. And the right tire here between inters and wets really makes such a huge difference that actually it could be very easy for him to just build like a 5-6 second gap off this.
It is definitely into time. Look at the gaps between him and Rayner and him and Copy. He's closing up to Rayner 10th at a time. Copy's falling off a 10th at a time. Definitely into time. Those who've stopped for inters have made the right call, which is good. One of my predictions might happen, which is Beaker could get P3 here.
Yeah, true. I mean, that also is bearing in mind that this is a track that where penalties are very paramount here, and he is the kind of driver who gets penalties.
He
so
already has had one.
Well, exactly. Speeding in the pit lane, that in itself is a sign. So, a bit concerning. Fingers crossed he goes okay. We'll have to watch out.
So, front 3 are all in. That will release Flying Finn as the next train comes into the station. It's the Copy Brandy Boxen train. All aboard.
Watch the gap between Flying Finn and the next
Hang
car.
on. Flying Finn has just set the fastest lap on an out lap.
Yeah, we were pretty early on in the session, but we should have definitely seen a much faster lap than that by now.
That's insane.
Keep an eye on the gap between Flying Finn and Lemon. It's 5.3 seconds, and that's the difference between that one extra lap of being on wets and pitting when he did. Because I think it was like almost a second, the gap between Lemon and Flying Finn when Flying Finn decided to pit, and that's just, you know, literally quadrupled and more. So a little bit concerning there for Lemon and for anybody who didn't pit. But like you said, Beaker looking good now that he's got himself up there a bit further. How many places he jumped? He's only jumped 2, but Nickton's jumped 6, and Flying Finn's also jumped 6.
Yep, all on Inters now. No one else hanging around those wet tyres. It's definitely into weather. That comes back to the point. How do you know when it is into weather? I have no idea. I think you just
So,
tell, don't you? You can feel it in a bit.
not quite.
No?
It's a lot easier to work out than you think. You basically look at the
Okay.
track around you. You look for the standing water. You also look at the lines that everyone's taken, and you look for the dry line. So right now, if you go on board with Rayner, who's slowly working his way up to the back of it, Nickton, you can see there's like a very distinct line on the track where it's a lot drier. There's no standing water on there at all,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily have to worry about it. The rain's not coming down hard enough to eradicate that line, so that's the bit. That's the time there when you see that forming. You start to question: is it time now for intermediates? And you know, if you're seeing it for a little while longer and you not really having any problems with it, then yeah, absolutely jump on intermediates. But it's the same, you know, the question you ask yourself is, am I leaving it too late? That's really good penalty. Am I leaving it too late and I'm going to lose the gap like what Lemon did? Because Lemon was playing a little bit safer. Thought I'll wait another lap and just confirm.
Yeah.
Whereas Flying Finn said, no, I'm gambling here. I'm going for it. I'm going to switch to the intermediates, and it worked out massively.
Absolutely, yeah. He made the exact right call. Now the next call he needs to make is, if he gets to this point, when do you go on to dries? We all know that one. That's when it says DRS is enabled. That's the right time.
Yeah.
That's the easy one. Box down. Oh, that's where my prediction's gone. Dang it.
Yeah.
Sector 1 and 2,
No,
where's that?
no beer for you then.
No, what a shame.
Unless
There's no surprise.
Yeah.
I think I might be retired from session because there's a yellow in 1, then a yellow in 1 and 2, then a yellow in 2. So that could have just been a leave session type retirement. Just on board with hypers, but that won't really help me.
No, I think you're right. I think he did carry on, you know, driving away. Oh, Brownie and Copy scrapping. Brownie's got the inside line coming up to the final chicane. Again, we saw what happened earlier with Blue, and similar. Copy has backed off just to make sure that he can fight another day. He's still going for it, but Brownie is P8. Started dead last, so you know, overall, Brownie's in for a good position right now.
Yeah, I did see the dice come up with Brownie's number. I thought, yeah, there's no chance of that, but he can still get some good points here today. And I mean, with 2 effective retirements already, as long as he finishes, he's got him points. That's what's going good for him right now. He was in a position not to get any at the start of the race, but things started to work out for him. And look, we just saw Lemon get a 3-second penalty. That's going to cost him 1 place at the moment to Blackbird, who's all over the back end of him. Well, nearly all over the back end. He'll close up potentially through here. As Lemon goes very deep in the hairpin. Blackbird might fancy something later on next lap if you can just reel him in that little bit more.
The other thing to think about is we already saw the difference that a perfect timing pit stop made for Flying Finn. And that was just the difference between a wet compound tyre, right? It went from wet to intermediates, which arguably is not that big a deal. Although it was, it ended up being 5 and a bit seconds. But going from a complete, you know, a wet tyre to a dry tyre would be astronomical if you pull it off. And you may see Brownie jump those places if he times it right. If he does what Beaker did, and you know he timed it at the same time as Flying Finn did, and it did work out for Beaker quite nicely. He's built up a nice 3.8 second gap to it. Nick Turn, who's had to fight through the pack anyway. Brownie may still get himself onto a podium. Definitely not going to get the race win. I think Flying Finn's just way too far ahead now for that. But in a position where he might still get some really good points and get a position to get in.
Well, Flying Finn's pit stop was so brilliant because he came out in front of the 3 wet tyre drivers, right in front of them. If he came in, if he'd lost a half a second on the end lap, he would have come out behind them or in the middle of them, which is not what you want when you're trying to win a race. They're all fighting for position. They're fine to fight. And that was so important that he came out where he did. He picked that gap perfectly and didn't lose any extra time and absolutely nailed that pit stop. And that's pretty much just gifted him a potential win here. He's all but got the win, I'd say, really.
Yeah.
Unless he's got a terrible dry setup or has a mistake as it goes from wet to dry or enters to dry. But faster man on track, still, for now.
Yeah. Something else to talk about is the McLaren drivers. We used to be very harsh on Copy overall, and we used to sing the praises of it Nickton. And they were very well known for being really solid teammates. They still are very well known for being really solid teammates. But Nickton was always the one who'd be faster in the qualifying and whatnot. But I now have a reason to critique Nickton. I've got a lot of love for Nickton, but when it comes to his race performance. He is fast, there's no doubt about it, but he gets a lot of penalties, and the amount of times where we predicted him still in the podium, but he's lost like better positions because of penalties. It's just been too many times to sort of like still be happy about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, he's getting podiums, that's great, but you expect more from him to be able to do that.
Yeah, on track he gets third, and after penalties are applied, he drops to fifth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
There was one that was not that long ago. I don't know if it was this league or not, where we saw Nick Turn got like 15 or 18 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah.
He was race leader, and he dropped right the way down due to that one problem. That was a big deal.
Yeah, well, it's so easy, especially when it's wet. It's so easy to pick up just little penalties. Just because you make a little mistake, you cut a corner, and you've thrown it in slightly too early, you don't have enough grip, and you just come straight across the corner. Or you throw it in too early, and you realise, oh, I've actually got a lot of grip, sugar, and you cut the corner. This track is great, as I've just seen Blue make a mistake going into the final chicane. Just locked up those brakes and nearly went into the back of Copy. Avoided a penalty, but lost about a second to the man in front. Yeah, Canada is so easy to pick up penalties because you want to cut every single corner just because it's a chicane, and that's the easiest way of going around them, is to make it as straight as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're going to see a fair few penalties come the end of this race. And yeah.
Do you have a penalty rundown or no?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's a shame because it would be really good to understand. I don't think he has one today, not for this race.
I think this is a race that he needs one, really. Wet race.
You know what? Yeah, definitely. This is exactly that. A track that Beaker, in general, needs a race engineer.
Oh, another mistake by Blue.
He's
making a lot of mistakes out there as Blue. I'm just on board with him because he was chasing down Copy. He's now falling back from Copy, as he's just made 2 mistakes in less than a lap. 3 mistakes in less than a lap.
Oh, Lemon's gone. Oh, that's the wall of champions. He's pretty much done. And Magnussen.
That is a big mistake. That's a double front wheel.
Yeah.
He's come off, hit the left, bounced across to the right. Thankfully, I don't think he's collected anyone. And I'm surprised we don't have a safety car or anything.
It's the downside to having ghosting on is you're less likely to get safety cars as a result of it. And also people retiring so quickly that you end up not getting a safety car anyway. Lemon has left, so yeah. I mean, it's a big F today for both Mercedes drivers. Hyper's obviously being desynced and then had to leave as a result. Couldn't rejoin. And then Lemon
Has
now.
he tried?
The big old DNF. I don't think he would have done.
Because if he joins, he's still going to get points.
I mean he's so far ahead.
He doesn't need points,
No, he could DNF the next 4 races and still be ahead.
Wouldn't it brilliant if he came back and overtook people and got up the grid just one place or something?
I mean, I would love to see it personally. I would love to see Hypers come back and just start tearing his way through the track. But he's about to be lapped, look. Anyway, he's already been lapped by Flying Finn. Blackbird's coming up to him in just a minute. And Beaker, who's got yellow fuel warning light, not necessarily meaning anything in wet conditions. But, you know, I want to believe in Beaker, I really do. But he's just showing so many old traits. Which is, you know, the 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, for example. And on a track like this, I don't think that's going to be his only penalty.
Well, we'll soon see. He's still on the back end of Blackbird. Blackbird has 3 seconds to his name. Beaker has 5. This isn't a rundown, this is just what I know off the top of my head. Lemon had 3 as well, but that doesn't matter anymore. So, even if he gets past Blackbird, he needs to hope Blackbird picks up another 3, or he doesn't pick up any more himself and gets a nice lead. It could go either way at this point. I was saying it earlier, about 2 minutes ago, track is so easy to pick up penalties. So easy. Every single corner, bar the little kinks in the straights, you can pick up a penalty on so easily.
Yeah. So Beaker half a second behind Blackbird right now, slowly bringing that gap down a little bit further. He's actually managing his ERS levels quite nicely. It's something that I've also critiqued him on a fair bit. It locked up a little bit coming into the chicane. Didn't actually have any problems there, but he did lose a little bit of time. You can see now it's back up to 6/10 now.
I think we're going to dries in a moment.
Well, yeah, there's no more raindrops.
There's no spots on the halo. I think we might be seeing someone go for a risk.
I think we might be seeing mediums as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you
mediums
don't
should
want to
go
go
to the end.
softs. You definitely don't want to go softs.
No.
Mediums might be able to go to the end. I mean, you're looking to do 20 laps, or 19 laps now. I think Beaker should pit this lap. I think Beaker should absolutely pit this lap. The track is definitely dry lit.
There's no spots on his halo either.
No. He knows now. No, he knows. This is Beaker coming in this lap. I can guarantee it.
Because he keeps locking up.
Is
Where
he
is
going to play the
Finn?
safe card, though? I think he's going to play the safe card. There's DRS
They-
being enabled.
Yeah, he's got to come in now, isn't he?
Where's Flying Finn? He's coming up to
He's
the
coming
home
up to-
straight. That DRS enabled means he's coming in. Yep, there it is.
Don't get a penalty. Just.
He's fine. Blackbird's under attack. He's also going to be chucking it into the pits. But now this kind of ruins the whole Brownie pitting at the right
Beaker
time
going to go for an
scenario.
overtake on the entry. He is. Look at that.
Oh! No, he's made a mistake. Beaker.
Oh,
He's just killed Blackbird. Beaker
Oh,
just
dear.
killed Blackbird. He went for the overtake in the run into the pits. He made a mistake. Like, I don't think it was an intentional kill attempt, but I mean, he's gonna get in
Virtual
big
safety
trouble
car.
for that. Yeah, there is no way Beaker's not getting in trouble for that one. That
Well,
was
yeah,
that
he
was
picks
bad.
up a 5-second speeding penalty as well, which showed he had too much speed going in. And
yeah.
I don't know if it was a case of two. It wasn't really two going into one. Two were going into two. They can both
Yeah.
fit through that entry. It's maybe the Beaker just jumped across a little bit too much and nudged him. I don't know.
Beaker definitely turned a bit too hard there, and yeah,
Maybe.
the issue was it looked like he just clipped the grass a little bit, destabilized his car, overreacted, because he has ridiculously high force feedback on his wheel. I know that, so he would have felt that immediately, overreacted, slammed into the side of Blackbird, sent Blackbird off into the wall, and that was it. That's. I mean, it's still, you know, absolutely Beaker's fault. There's no way
Yeah.
getting around that. He's definitely gonna get in trouble for that. But yeah, that was so sad.
It was a risky move. If it came off, it would have been the overtake of the day, quite easily.
Yeah.
However, it is going to go down as the biggest
Penalty
mistake
of the day.
day.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Cost the guy a race. He's got another 5 seconds. He's just served one, so he's still got another 5 to his name. Enterton, however, has just picked up 3 seconds. That's going to help him out a little bit. But Beaker may just get straight up disqualification or a huge penalty come the end of this race, and he needs to now drive out of his skin to try and cover off
Yeah.
anything he gets. And that's going to bring more penalties.
I don't think he's going to get any. I don't think he's. I don't think there's any way he can cover off the penalty he's about to receive. I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, it depends what that is. I mean, if it's a 30-second penalty, then you still get points. It's one of those situations where
I'm gonna have a look for the rules, and I'm gonna see if I can find what sort of rule that would look at.
well, it's a massive collision because it's cost the guy a race. It was 100% Big's fault. There's no two ways about it. It was completely avoidable, and it was reckless at the end of the day. Yes, okay, if it worked, it would have been great. It's one of those situations. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, it's terrible, and it
Yeah.
was absolutely terrible.
It was awful, was what it was, and yeah, it is a big
Shocking.
sad. I would have expected better from him in that respect.
Oh, so I
but-
got past Rayner. So
Because it's the
fast
same
as that.
fastest laps though. Aha,
They're all
I found
coming
the
down.
rules. Okay. There we go. All right. I'm gonna search for the worst penalty that can be issued to a driver. Because I mean, realistically, he's gonna get it, right?
Well, the worst penalty is thrown out of the league. Second worst is disqualification from a race. Third worst is what you're kind of looking at, isn't it? I don't think
Yeah.
it wasn't a deliberate, so he shouldn't be thrown out of the league, but he could be disqualified from the race because it was that bad.
It was very reckless.
Yeah, I mean, it was an angry Beaker move, wasn't it? We can all agree on that one.
Yeah.
Penalties are flying in left, right, and centre. I've completely lost count now. It's a shame his engineer's not here to tell us what's happening.
I don't have. For some reason, it's not working on my phone. So I
Oh.
can't view it.
So Beaker has DRS on it. It turns to be going up the casino straight. Flyfin sets the new fast lap. That's going to keep coming down and down and down as this track warms up, rubbers up, and gets quicker. I think the only saving grace now for Beaker is to crash himself out to save any penalties. And he'll still get points, but
yeah, I don't think he would save anything.
Nah.
I think his best opportunity now is to just drive hard, keep pushing,
and drive clean.
I mean, I'm gonna have a look at the clip myself on my phone.
I mean, who were
I
you on
don't
board
think
with? Were
there's
you on board
any
with?
way to sort of go on.
Were you on board with Beaker, or were you doing broadcast camera?
So I had broadcast camera from the pit lane.
So you've got that. I was on board with Beaker, so that will give us another good view of that. So that's interesting.
I couldn't have got it any more clear cut.
Yeah, I mean,
Find it there.
oh, he's still locking up. He's definitely driving angry, that man.
I don't think anyone clipped it from. They must have clipped it from yours. Let me have a look.
Don't know.
It's all right. I've got this.
You've got it covered. Cheers, babes.
You're welcome.
I think the one thing Beaker can now do to save some grace is to come in later on and go for the fastest lap on the softs. Because he could get a penalty that's going to knock him down to the points positions.
Right, here we go. I've got it on my phone now. So, running commentary. So Blackbird is sprinting down. It leaves him enough space. I wouldn't say he squeezed him in the slightest. Blackbird held his wheels straight. There was no sort of rotation there at all. Baker goes down the inside. Yeah, okay, so what basically happened is there's like a very small move. Very, very, very small move from Blackbird. Right? And I'm literally talking like force feedback would have moved him. That's how much of a small move it was, right? That in itself scared Beaker onto the grass. Beaker does get on the grass, comes back over, and then that's it. It's just a big old punt into the side of Blackbird. I think, to be honest, Blackbird could have avoided the wall, but he wanted to get in the pit so bad because he knew how much it meant. He could have just driven off to the right, and yeah, I think
it was a game of chicken.
There's no way to say that isn't Beaker's fault.
No,
Beaker is absolutely in trouble for that one.
It looked like a game of chicken. It was the last one to break gets the position. Neither of them wanted a break because they both wanted the position. Unfortunately, Beaker was the man behind at that point, and
it's so bad. I'm gonna clip it so you can watch it, but it is bad. Beaker's in trouble. That's all I can say. Beaker's in trouble. There is no defending that at all.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing this. It's kind of the highlight of the race, isn't it? Beaker just obliterated Blackbird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm kind of hoping Blackbird's streaming this because that'd be kind of fun to watch as well.
From his POV.
Yeah, just to see what happens. And if he's got his voice activated as well, that would be even better, just screaming at Beaker.
Alright, I'm going to send you it in Discord.
Excellent. Oh, it's sunny on track now, by the way. It's starting to... And Beaker gets another penalty.
There you go.
I will have a look at that in a moment. I am just seeing if anything's been said in the chat. Nothing, unfortunately. That's kind of boring.
I've heard from Blackbird.
Is he happy?
Blackbird is well, I mean, he's obviously not happy, but he's not being upset in any way, as in he's not being toxic in any way. He's literally asked the question like, did I do anything wrong there? And honest answer, no, not really. I don't think there's anything Blackbird could have done there.
Well, the only thing he could have done is the same thing Beaker should have done, because Beaker was the man behind, and that was back out of it. That's the only thing he could have really done, and it wasn't his fault.
I mean, I like to consider myself as quite a reasonable guy, and also quite cool-headed to an extent. I would have been mad if that had happened to me. I'd have been so angry.
I think you would see the wiggle.
Watch the clip.
I can't slow it down on my phone.
It's very minor. It is so minor, but it's right before, as Beaker's coming up alongside of him. I think he just gets his front wheel alongside his right wheel, and you can see like a very, 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 very slight move from Blackburn. But it's so marginal. It's so marginal that there's no way that it's something as a driver you would have definitely seen that. But you would never need to react as much as he did. But obviously, it's just natural reaction to do what he did. But the way he came back off the grass was the problem, and that ultimately.
I don't see the wiggle from Blackbird. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong time frame. But it looks almost like Beaker's trying to come back off the grass and just gone, get out of my way, I'm going through.
Yeah, it's hard. But Beaker's definitely in trouble. There's no way around that. Whilst all this has been happening, whilst we've been talking about that, obviously we're down to 8 drivers effectively. We've got Hypers still technically there, but he's not going to gain any points because he's not been driven for 90. I think it's 91%. I think you have to do.
Yeah.
But Zerd is slowly reeling in Beaker. Beaker is slowly reeling at Nickturn back in again. And Nickturn does have penalties, but Beaker has more and almost guaranteed that we'll get more post-race. Although the gap between him and Brownie is quite severe, we're looking at a good sort of 18 seconds at the minute. So he's got that to go with. If he does get a 10-second time penalty, he should sort of like be covered from Brownie in that respect. But the other thing you got to think about is that Beaker does still have additional penalties on top of that anyway. So
he has obviously the a few 3 seconds and a 5 second. He served 1 5 second, so he definitely has 8.
He's got another one.
Has he got 6 seconds of penalties and a 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so he served 1 5 in the pit stops.
He got another one on the entry to that pit stop when. So yeah, he's only got 5 and then a couple of 3s.
If only we could have his engineer in chat, we can get a rundown. But
he hasn't got an engineer. He's not.
Is that why he's making mistakes?
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, he doesn't. He's very quick to get hot-headed, I think. And,
well, yeah, you engineered
I'm sad for him. I'm sad for him because I want to see him do well. I want to see him back to the old Beaker where he was really quite quick and he was quite. Other than the speeding in the pit lane, that was really all he got. But this game he's struggling, and Flying Finn's in the pits.
He's going for soft. Interesting. He's thinking those tyres might not last, but it's almost a free pit stop. He's down to 4th, but everyone's so closely bound that he'll just zoom past these guys on these softs, assuming he doesn't burn them out before the end of the race.
I don't know if he's. I don't know if Flying Finn's been a little bit confident. Oh, Rayner's out. What happened to Rayner? Oh, Wall of Champions! He's out. That is a big crash.
Just the ball with Hypers. Let's have a look. Where is he? Oh, there. Oh, he's hit the wall. He's managed to get that little bit of wall to stick out. That's a little bug in the game. If you look at the wall when Enterturn comes past it, it's not quite where they go towards the wall. It's just a bit before that, but it sticks out a little bit. So it's really easy to now catch. I mean, that is slightly realistic. If they were to hit the wall, it will stick out a bit. You can just sit there, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yep.
It's not quite in the firing line, but it can put you off if you see it.
So, Nickturn now leads this race, does have a lot of penalties. Beaker there in P2, Zerd is chasing him in P3. Flying Finn is living up to the name and is flying. He's currently 3.5 seconds behind Zerd and is on softs. The only concern I really have for Flying Finn is that his tyres are going to be difficult to manage in around about 4 or 5 laps. He's going to be sort of matching Zerd's pace in terms of tyre. The question is, though, is he going to be able to pass him by that time that happens?
Yes.
Is Zerd going to get past Beaker before Flying Finn catches Zerd? And if he does, he's going to put a car between the two of them. I think Zerd might actually win this. Zerd has a chance to get a win here.
I think these mediums might start struggling on the last few laps. I don't know if Hypers has stopped a little too early. Potentially, I think he probably should have stopped with about... I think it's on the edge, isn't it?
Do you mean Finn?
Flying Finn. Who did I say?
Hypers.
I meant Flying Finn. I'm used to talking about Hypers when we talk about a guy in the lead.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flying Finn, he's taken a risk. Is that going to work for him? are these mediums going to last till the end? That's both questions that we're going to find out in the next. We'll probably find out in 5 laps time if they're going to last to the end, because they'll be starting to pit. If not, they'll be starting to pit this lap or next if they don't think they're going to last. But look at Flying Finn, he's right up to to Zerd. Words.
Yeah, he's so close to him already. 7 tenths being the gap, 4 tenths between Zerd and Beaker. Yeah, I think I may have got a little bit excited there, thinking that Zerd. I mean, it was 3.5 seconds, and Zerd is not slow by any stretch of the imagination, but Flying Finn on these softs is just absolutely taking off.
He's absolutely flying.
Yeah.
It's going to be an easy overtake. He might get a double overtake on this back straight here. He might actually go for Zerd down the inside on this corner. He's really got DRS from him. He's actually looking around the outside. Nearly taking out Beaker.
Oh, he's done it. He's actually... Wow, what a drive. Flying Finn round the outside of the hairpin. Stays alongside Zerd the entire way around. Gets the drive out of the corner. He's already sizing up Beaker. Beaker is sitting duck now as we come towards the final chicane. And yeah, that's it. Job done. Flying Finn now up in a P2. Already starting to work his way towards that nick turn. Has DRS as well in home straight. And now you got to look for Zerd, who's going to be attacking Beaker. Yeah,
Beaker's going to lose 2 for 1 here. And Zerd is through up into P3. And... yeah, great move there by Zerd. Great, even better move by Flying Finn round the outside of the hairpin. You do sometimes see it in the official F1, and it always looks awesome. Now he's got to set his sights. Look, he's really pulled a second away from Zerd, outside the DRS already, and 2.5 seconds off the back of Ventnor turn. He'll close that up pretty darn quickly. Actually, he might get DRS here from Hypers. That will be useful, and he will. Yeah, that looks like DRS from Hypers. That's going to really help him catch up to Enterturn.
And this time we're actually talking about Hypers.
Yeah, we are. The AI of Hypers. Has he got it?
So fast through that corner. Flying Finn. Getting so much there. That, yeah, like you said, that DRS is going to make a huge difference for him now. It's going to help bring him in even... Look at the time just ticking away. The gap distance between Flying Finn. And that's without a slipstream. Yeah, he's got DRS, but the slipstream would have been even... faster. I think Nickton's gone this lap.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these softs are now starting to lose their edge, and the mediums have definitely lost their edge. They are starting to be a little bit painful, I would have thought by now. Whether or not they'll need to pit again, we're going to find...
Oh, no! He's out!
What did he hit?
He just ran deep.
Didn't look like he hit anything, it just looked like it blew off.
I mean, he hit the wall on my screen. He hit that hard. Flying Finn is out of this Grand Prix.
He's slightly desynced for me then, because he didn't touch the wall on my screen.
That was... I am speechless. How did he do that?
Don't know. Do not know.
Well, I mean, that has now made Zerd P1. Well, Zerd is actually getting the race win. Because, I mean, Nixon's got far too many penalties. Zerd I don't think he's had any penalties.
Well, we've still got a few laps to go.
Okay, so Flying Finn has said that he was desynced, and he got rotated by a nick turn. But he never actually... A nick turn was further down the road.
But on my screen, Flying Finn never touched the wall. His tyre quite literally just blew off. I will clip it for you and show it to you post-race, but that looked really quite dodgy. I think this entire lobby's a bit desynced, isn't it?
Yeah, a fair bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this race rerun, because it's... Hypers has had desync issues, Flying Finn has had desync issues. I wonder if anyone else has had it. Maybe Beaker had a little bit of desync issues as well.
I mean...
I don't know.
I would hope for Beaker that this race gets rerun. But ultimately, I don't think it will.
No, but it's been a bit odd. It had a very long delay at the beginning of the race, didn't it, for all Hypers?
Yeah.
So maybe that threw everything out a little bit. But, I mean, that's kind of killed off the race a little bit, unfortunately.
Well, I'm just rewatching it from... I'm rewatching the incident now. I want to understand what happened. Because I glanced away to read the chat to see how we were looking. Oh, no, you're right. Even on my screen, he never hit the wall.
No. It just blew off, didn't it? He was not even on the curb. The front wheel just blew off.
I am amazed. The top. That's tragic. That is actually tragic. I feel so sad for him. He drove an insane race as well. Alright. Surely they have to rerun this race. There's no way.
Well, yeah, I mean, 2 drivers out of 12 have had serious desync issues. Who knows if anyone else has had issues? And that one's unexplained. That just from our point of view, it just blew off. He's obviously desynced with Enter-Turn. He's Enter-Turn rotated him, but from our screen, he's still facing the right way. So maybe he just hit the back of Enter-Turn already. He just got put into the wall by Enter-Turn, who's now picked up a 3-second penalty. I think that's pretty much guaranteed Zerd's going to be winning this race. And
yeah,
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised no one else has actually pulled in to go for softs yet for the fastest lap.
Yeah, Blue is in a position where he should. Blue absolutely should swap to softs. There's no reason not to. I mean, what's the fastest lap currently? A 109.851. Obviously, the track would have evolved a fair bit from then as well. So
who did
really,
it?
I don't know.
It was done by Flying Finn on soft, so yeah, it's not going to be easy to beat. And Flying Finn was his name, Flying.
Yeah. So the other thing to think about as well is, oh, it wasn't a Nixon, sorry, it was Copy that he was desynced with.
Oh,
which
Copy
makes more sense. Yeah.
That makes even less sense. Copy's nowhere near him.
No, I know, but apparently it's decent car from his side.
Copy's in 5th.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to F1 2019.
Although, I mean, we say that, but let's be brutally honest. It hasn't actually been that bad. This is the worst I've seen from this game ever, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen the game be this broken.
This is just after a patch, so maybe they did something wrong in the patch and messed things up like that. People are complaining about FPS drops, considerable FPS drops. I mean, yes, okay, if you've got 200 FPS dropping to 100, I wouldn't even notice a difference in that.
You would if you were on a 144 Hz monitor, though.
I am on 144.
Are you running the game on 144?
Probably not, no, because I don't need to.
Well, that you would notice then. You wouldn't notice if you weren't running the game on 144 Hz, but if you were running on 144 Hz as well, you would definitely notice a difference.
Isn't it true? I can't remember this, but the eye can only process 60.
No, that's not true.
Oh, that's
so
what
the
you keep
eye
hearing.
can process 1000 FPS officially, but you don't use all 1000 FPS. You basically use whatever you are physically seeing.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're looking at a screen that is only running at 60 Hz, you want to see 60 Hz.
But I can't imagine there's that much difference.
What,
visually?
between 60 and 144?
Well, no, between 200 and 100. Okay, yes, it's
no,
half.
It's hot and cold, dude. It's insane.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe someone could prepare a nice video to show.
Well, the problem is you can't.
Well,
there's currently no videos out there that play anything higher than 60 FPS.
Yeah.
So you can't. You could record a 144 Hz video, but you wouldn't be able to view it because there's nothing that views it that high. You know, the only way I could say it is if you just literally tried it yourself, just switch between 60 and 144. The main one I used it on was F1 and Rocket League. They made a massive difference when it came to 60 and 144 Hz, but it is honestly just insane how different it is.
I don't think my PC can run 144. Not on.
Did you ever play Halo?
No, I had a life.
Okay.
We've all seen your videos.
I was more meaning like Halo ran on 30 FPS and then Call of Duty ran on 60 FPS, and it felt insanely different between just that 30 frames per second.
30 to 60 is very noticeable because that's in a range that is very easy to notice, I'd say.
But that's the thing, right? Is that's just 30 frames difference, right? And you think, yeah, but that's very noticeable because it's 30 to 60. Yeah, I get that, but we're talking more than double 60.
Well, oh, the race is finishing.
The race is over.
Hooray!
Zerd is here coming out. He's going to take it though because Nick Turn's got too many penalties, and Zerd takes the 25-point race win. Beacon will cross the line and take, I can only imagine, third. Although he does have penalties. I don't know if Brownie has penalties actually. I don't think he does.
He might have had a couple.
Oh, he jumped him. But honestly, I would be surprised if this was the official results. I think this will probably get rerun. It's just a bit too... There's too many bugs that have happened, like hypers, for example, being desync for everybody, including us, which wasn't happening in the qualifying session, so we couldn't even say it's his fault. But anyway,
Hey.
there we go. That's the end of that Grand Prix. What an interesting race.
Yeah, interesting's one way of describing it.
He's already gone. He's out. He's peace.
Yeah, I feel bad for that. That's a real interesting thing.
Yeah.
Well, so
So here we go. Here's the rundown. Zerd takes the race win. Did actually get a penalty. I didn't see that. Did take the 25 points. So Stag P8 jumps up to P1. And Nickton, Stag P11, managed to give himself a good solid P2. Brownie gets third, starting from 12th. So good position from him. Beaker P4 for now, at least until students get a hold of him. Copy in P5, Blue P6, Hypers P7. And then your DNFs were Flying Fin, Rainer, Blackbird, Lemon, and Bulkzan. I'm not quite sure exactly if it's going to stay like that or not. Pay attention to the World Championship Racing Discord.
Driver of the day?
Driver of the day.
Do we give it to Blackbird for feeling sorry?
Oh, I mean, I feel for two people in that race, Flying Fin and Blackbird.
And a bit of
I think
Hypers.
yeah, I mean, at least it was early enough to not notice it.
Yeah.
So I am going to go with... Flying Fin, driver of the day.
Okay, I was going to go with Brownie. Penalty-free, podium. What can you complain about? We gave no chance whatsoever even getting close to there. When I rolled Brownie to win, we were laughing. And, I mean, he may have got there eventually. But, yeah, P3 is still a darn good result from 12th. So,
yeah.
and it's a throw away a win once again, though.
That's it for the World Championship Racing Grand Prix here in Canada. We'll be back next week where we are racing in France? France.
Are you telling me or are you asking?
I think it's France.
It is France.
Yeah, I knew that. Right, so now I'm going to